Hello, ladies and gents. I want to talk a little bit about MLA format just because it tends to be something that we all find challenging. And one of the challenging things about MLA format is there are rules for everything, but there are also a lot of very odd little exceptions to the rules. And the MLA format is updated by the professionals every couple years. So just as soon as you learn this and get it down pat, they'll change it. That's the fun thing about standardized styles. It's not just true of MLA format. They do it in APA and Chicago as well. It's just something we have to roll with the punches on. So what we're going to be looking at is our MLA format worksheet here that you've completed. I figured it would be easier to talk through it this way than to type you a very, very long mini paragraph message in the gradebook. So let's chat about it here. In the first section, we talked about recognizing plagiarism. Some of you reached out and said that your original excerpt was different than the student work, so I'll go in and see what's happening there. If that was the case for you, don't worry, you won't lose any points. So in this worksheet version, the original excerpt is from Don't Confuse Revenge with Justice by Leon Seltzer. We see our student work here. And then, of course, in your worksheets, you're going to explain the error and correct the sentence. So the error in this one was the student's work didn't have any quotations around text that was taken word for word from the original. That would be considered plagiarism. So you do need to make sure that there are quotation marks around the word for word text, as well as the citation of page or paragraph number at the end of the quoted material. So we've got that fixed for us here, hooray. So you can see how this is supposed to look. And then as we move into the second one, we have a piece of ideas from Dr. Leon Seltzer. Then we have the student work. The error here is that while it's true there is no stem or article title, which is important when we're using quotes, the most important error here is that the original text was misinterpreted. This summary of the original is wrong. So if we're saying that Seltzer says this, we're lying. He doesn't say that. He said the opposite, right? So that's a problem. We need to make sure when we're summarizing or paraphrasing that we are accurately talking about the ideas from the original source. If we misinterpret them, that's going to be an issue, right? So make sure that all of the quotes you're using in your essay are correctly interpreted if you're summarizing or paraphrasing. So to fix that, we have to rewrite the whole dang thing. So we've got our stem here now, and he's saying justice is not about balancing the scales. It's not. So we've got that correction made here. In original excerpt 3, this is a good example of why it's important to have the paragraph notation at the end of the paraphrase material, because if you look at the student work here, it looks like the paraphrase ends in the first sentence, and that this following sentence is all your original ideas, when that is simply not the case. And so the error here is that this paragraph notation needs to come at the end of the summarized material, not in the middle. Because once we put this, it means that everything following is your original ideas. So that had better be true, right? Otherwise it's plagiarism. So in this case, this would be plagiarism because this second sentence is being given as the author's original ideas, not a summary of the original text. And so we've got that fixed here as well. Now, direct quotations, I asked you to find some quotes from Don't Confuse Revenge with Justice. This could look a lot of different ways, but we do want to have a signal phrase or a stem. So we've got, according to Dr. Seltzer in the article title, Don't Confuse Justice with Revenge, he states, revenge typically begets more revenge. The quote is in quotation marks. We've got the author's last name and the page or paragraph number followed by punctuation. The punctuation will always go after the end parentheses, not before. In the second one, this is where most people get tripped up. I just want a fragment quote. I don't want a whole big long sentence. I want to see how you can weave someone else's ideas in with your own ideas. So we've got our stem in the article by Dr. Seltzer titled Don't Confuse Justice with Revenge. He writes, the motive of revenge has mostly to do with expressing rage. Fragment quote, a notion that seems to track with what we see in the news every day. That's my own opinion about it, right? And so when we're using a fragment quote, we insert that fragment quote into our own sentence and then expand upon it with our own ideas. And of course, we will put our citation at the end. Then we've got paraphrase. Not enough coffee this morning, huh? Paraphrase is similar to summary, but we remember that there is one significant difference. A paraphrase is about the same length as the original text, and a summary is much, much shorter than the original text. So if we take a look at the original text here, we've got a nice quote from Seltzer. We're going to boil it down into our own ideas, our own words, but we're retaining that original core that Seltzer gives us. And so we say, according to Dr. Leon Seltzer in his piece, "Don't confuse justice with revenge. Justice has the intent to find closure and is made by persons often not acquainted with individual receiving justice." And we've got our citation there. You'll see the summary. We've got a much larger original text that then is much, much smaller at the end. Seltzer states in his article that revenge is motivated by wanting vengeance to damage out of fury and commonly aren't viewed as equitable, as opposed to all of these sentences. Up here, we've boiled it down into something much smaller. So that's how this worksheet works. Hopefully, you'll find this useful as you go into Project 1, not only so that you know how to cite in MLA format in text, but you also know how to avoid accidental plagiarism, which is really where people normally lose the most points in Project 1, is that we're accidentally claiming ideas that are not ours. So we want to make sure that we are using MLA format to let the reader, me, know when you're taking ideas from someone else and when the ideas are original. So hopefully this is helpful. As always, reach out if you have any questions. I'm here to help.